Hey guys, how are you? It's Care. What are you talking about? 2.0. Wow, today is going to be good. Lots to unpack. I want to talk about attachment styles and how they are affecting your life and how they affect others around you. Oh yeah. By the way, how's your new year going? How are your goals coming along? How are your relationships doing? How's the relationship with yourself coming along? How's that one? I made a promise this year to really take stock of my life. Look at it objectively. Get to the bottom of things, why I act the way I do. Why I react the way I do. How about you? Have you been doing anything like this? I think you have. Have you been looking into why you make the choices you make or you've made in the past that haven't worked? I mean, over and over again, the thought patterns, the looping we do in our brains, the ride we're on. It's fun for a bit, right? And then we feel sick. Ugh. Maybe you're doing great, though. Maybe you're doing really, really great, and that's awesome. By the way, looping, I love that word because it perfectly describes what goes on in the brain in some of us who are just stuck or have been stuck. The thoughts that do a continuous loop, 360s, not evolving really, just back to the beginning, only to be reliving the same fun, not fun, again and again. I love when people say, well, just stop doing it. You can use your brain power to stop. Yes, you can. But the first thing is to realize you're doing it in the first place, right? I've been reading and listening to a lot of info, science-based info on your nervous systems and how they're wired from trauma, which is a no-brainer physiologically. But until we realize what that's about and how to remedy it, we're just going to do the same thing. And I love that there are reasons for all this stuff. There's actual sciencey, psychological reasons we act this way, which means you can get out of it. Stop the ride, get off it, and live a happy life. That's what I'm talking about. The nervous system, that's one thing. When we have trauma of any kind in our life, especially in the formative years, and especially if it's prolonged trauma, that nervous system, it can be shot. And the big T trauma versus little t trauma. Little t trauma, if you don't know, which you might have, includes experiences like divorce, infidelity, interpersonal conflict, financial problems, and those take place over time. That's little t trauma. By the way, this info from Psychology Today, I read into it and I don't want to, repeat it verbatim, but it's important that I get it right. Even though I inherently know this stuff, some of it, Psychology Today, lots of information, lots of sources online that I'm citing to because it's just important to get it right so I'm not blah, blah, blahing. As opposed to big T trauma, which is more of a one-time big traumatic event like a natural disaster, a sexual assault, an accident like a car accident or a car crash or a plane crash even. So big T is more like an isolated event, which is, but it's all trauma though. That's the thing. It's all trauma. I used to think I had big T trauma because it felt big, but it's all trauma. But little t gets overlooked because it happens to you over a prolonged period of time. And they're considered common things that happen to people. Divorce happens everywhere. Money issues happen in families all the time. Fighting, everyone does it. So it more often gets swept under the rug. Come on now, millions of people get divorced, just part of life. Meanwhile, we've been in sort of a limbo and survival mode for years, and we just have to deal. We just go through it and deal like an adult. Or not an adult, until we can't. And then we go, what is wrong with me? What's going on here? Yuck. This is not good. And guys, if this pod seems repetitive, I think this info bears repeating. I know that I need to be reminded daily, hourly sometimes, and get it pounded into my head, right? Right, that's right. I'm doing that thing again. I'm looping again. I've learned some tools and I'm not using them. So I have to be reminded. So repetitive pod, I just got to pound it in. Right now, this year, I'm obsessed with figuring myself out and my issues and where they stem from. And maybe you are too. Shaking off the last few years could be a part of it. It's kind of waking up. Which brings me to the topic that I didn't even know existed until a few months ago. I didn't know there were different attachment styles. And even though I have my psych degree, I'm sure it was in there somewhere, totally forgot the attachment styles. I've heard of love languages, maybe you have too. The love languages, there's lots of books on that. The Four Agreements, that's a big book too. Lots of stuff. But attachment styles really woke me up. They really resonated with me. It's like, oh, okay, wow. And of course, everything is interconnected. Your attachment style, which I'll go through, may be why you can't seem to break through to your partner or your family or your friends or yourself. I mean, I was like, oh, wow, okay. And it's a great feeling, right? When you hear something and you read something or listen to something and you have that moment of, oh, okay, so that's why I'm like this. It's actually a thing. There's a reason. I'm not crazy. It's just something now I know I can deal with now. Oh, wow, now that I know. And that's a great day. And interesting too is that depending on whether you have big T or little t trauma, it can really make a difference on your attachment style. So let's get into this. Listen up and see if what I describe in the attachment styles is you or kind of like you. Okay, there are 4. With each style, I'm going to do a quote almost to see if it resonates with you, as if you were saying it, because I just think it's really easy. You can really wrap your head around it. All right. So, and attachment styles, by the way, are based out of anxious and avoidant. And you're either one or the other, or you're this one. Okay, so let me ask you, is this you? I will read the secure attachment quote. That's the first one. Secure attachment. You would say, I don't worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to me. Is that you? You don't worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to you. Secure attachment. So if you are like this, you score low on both anxiety and avoidance. And I'll get into those two in a second. You trust close relationships, that they're going to be there for support and security. It's a give and take thing. You don't worry. You're not anxious. And when problems arise, you're really good at articulating what you need, what's going on. Problems are solved usually right away. There's no guessing. There's no guesswork. There's no anxiousness. There's no running away. You're confident in the relationship. Man, if you are securely attached, if you're in that, wow, that is the golden child. That's the Goldilocks zone of attachment. Man, I hate to say you've got no problems, but how did you get there? I don't even know people like this, but you're out there. So good for you if you have secure attachment. Wow. Talk to me. I'm trying to think of TV show couples, parents that are like that in the same relationship. They're both secure attached people. Family ties, the mom and dad. Wow. Ideal, but, rare. Okay, let's move on to the next attachment style. This is anxious attachment. I'm going to read this little quote and you see if you can identify with it. Okay. Anxious attached person. I want to be extremely emotionally close with others, but they abandon me. Okay? Is this you? You want to be extremely emotionally close with others, but they abandon you. That's the anxious attachment style. It's the panicking. It's you're worried that your partner's going to leave you. Your friend's going to leave you. You're constantly in a state of anxiousness. You make mountains out of molehills. You're just insecure about everything, often jealous. And you could even create conflict so that they will be around you to have that conflict with you. You know what I mean? If you create something, they'll have to stick around and deal with it. Yeah, it's a problem. Anxious attachment is described as high on anxiety, but low on avoidance. Yeah, so no trusting again, and preoccupied with the relationship of whatever's going on, preoccupied with keeping it, panicking, flapping your arms. Yeah, can be so life destroying for others too, for others around you. Now, I used to think I was that. I used to think I was anxiously attached, but I found out I wasn't. That's coming up in a second. Let's move on to avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment is difficult because I don't understand it, because I'm not that. But here it is. Is this you? I will read the quote. It is very important for me that I feel independent and self-sufficient. Is that you? It is very important for you to feel independent and self-sufficient. Now, that can just be very independent, but sometimes you know what's going on. You know that person who, when conflict arises, they shut down, the walls go right up, they go to the other side of the room, and they may not come back. They're aloof in relationships. They're emotionally distant. It may come across like they're only focused on themselves. Okay. So here's my analogy I came up with. Picture this. The anxious attached person is in the water. They fall in the water and they're flapping, they're screaming, they're flapping their arms, the water's going everywhere, they're panicking. Please come back, save me. The avoidant attachment falls in the pool and swims to the other side, gets out and walks away. Maybe you don't see them again or for a few days. They just do not want to deal. So you can see how that could be a problem. One person's crying out for help, panicking, jealous, just insecure. And the other person's like, nope, not dealing with it. Whatever they're going through, they're still not dealing with that kind of person. So far, do you see yourself in any of these attachment styles? Yeah? There's one left, and this is me. I identified with this right away. It's both. It's a combo. It's the worst, basically, I think. But but now that I know, I'm dealing. All right. So it's called the fearful avoidant attachment. Bit of both, guys. Is this you? You have trust issues and maintain distance from others. So that's a little complicated. You have trust issues and maintain distance from others. Here's how that unpacks. The fearful avoidant attachment style, high in anxiety and avoidance. Figure that one out. You both fear and desire intimate relationships, be it with a partner, with anybody. So essentially, you want to be with them, and when you are with them, you want to run the other way. That's pretty common. So you want to get close to the other person because you're afraid that they're going to leave. And then once you're there, you feel stifled in their presence. Yeah, I can identify. It's like, I want to be in this. Oh, I want to be out of it. Yeah. What's that about? So again, the 4 attachment styles are secure, the anxious, the avoidant, and the fearful avoidant. And I'm telling you, there's so much info out there. Like, just Google it and see. There's quizzes too to see what you are. And if you want to look into that, it's lots of fun and it's eye-opening. All right. And maybe it's something you knew deep down inside that you haven't addressed. You're like, I thought it was something. I have been like that. Well, there you have it. There's a name for it. There's a category for you. Okay. If you want to put it that way. And I realized I did not provide any answers. Thanks, Kara. So now what? Well, listen, that's another day. That's another day because it's there's so many layers to this kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. But just knowing that there's a style that you've been living is the first part. And we can unpack that. That's my favorite word, unpack. We can do that another day. I just thought I would leave you with this today. And you can look into it from here. Okay? Thanks so much for listening. I love it. You're all the best. And also like, share, follow, subscribe. I've got a YouTube channel. What are you talking about? And the pods are on there. Also, wherever you listen to your podcasts, follow. And then there's hit those stars, smash those stars, because it really does help with the algorithm and to get the podcast out there. I'm really working hard, guys, at getting this out there and a bunch of other things, some tutorials and all that kind of stuff. All right. Have a wonderful day. You're all awesome. Bye.